Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Vivid Collectibles. My name is Danny, and today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and review on the brand new Superman Premium format figure by Sideshow Collectibles. This statue was sculpted by the Kucharik brothers, painted by Bernardo Esquivel, and by the rest of the Sideshow design and development team. The K brothers have done a lot of work over the years, and they've got some bangers to their credit. This one is no exception. When it was first announced, there was some mixed, feelings about it. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Superman was too bulky, the portraits looked too old. So what did Sideshow do? They went back into the lab and they decided they were going to add a second portrait, which was a younger version of Superman, which by that time I had already kind of made up my mind that I was going to buy it anyways. So that was a nice little bonus. And while the younger portrait looks good as well, I'm probably going to go with the older one because it just flows a little bit better with this piece. So they made 1,000 of these, and they're currently waitlisted at Sideshow. This measures about 33.5 inches tall, 18 inches wide, and about 15 inches deep. So it does take up some real estate, but nothing you can't handle. The final product is, in my opinion, really, really impressive. Now, I bought this through CollectorZone.com. If you don't know what CollectorZone.com is, I urge you to find out. The owner's name is Marco. He's a really, really good guy. If you're going to buy there, join the Cantina group. I can't tell you enough the benefits of joining that group are. Marco's very responsive. If you have any questions, the guy answers them immediately. So for me, next to Sideshow, CollectorZone for me is the best customer service. I mean, I got a question, Marco answers it immediately. But make sure you join the Facebook Cantina group for CollectorZone. Trust me, you'll be glad that you did. I got this at a really good price that included shipping. Shipped it right away, no damage, no issues. And if I had some, I'm sure that Marco would answer them for me. Again, go to CollectorZone.com and go on the Facebook Cantina group and join. They have amazing deals and great customer service. Now we're going to move on to concept and artwork, and I'll let you know what I think of this piece. Alright, as I was saying before, they made 1,000 of these and they only made one version, which is the regular, and you get both portraits with that, so I like that. There were some concerns initially that it would lean based on the unboxing video that Sideshow made. It looked like maybe the cable's going to be heavy. How would it hold up? The key didn't seem that deep. So I had my concerns about this statue. And also, switching out the portraits, it's a little bit of a chore because you got to remove the portrait. You got to remove the cape, then the portrait, then replace the portrait, and then put the cape back on. I'm actually very pleased to tell you that it's much easier than I initially thought. The cape is extremely lightweight. It's easy to, remove and install. It's got a couple of holes in the key of the cape so that the air doesn't get trapped in there. I thought that was genius. So it's easy to take off and put on. And once it's on, it's very sturdy. Everything fit just right, and it feels very, very balanced. So whatever fears you may have of it, maybe leaning over time, unless you live somewhere really, really hot and you don't have it in a temperature control room, I don't think you're going to have any issues. But we're going to go with the design on this and concept. You have the Man of Steel taking flight, ready to take on his next foe. And they're showing you basically what happens when he does take flight. You have on this amazing base and sub-base, like a blue base with some purplish pearlescent purple on it, so that it shines the more you move the light. I love that effect. I think it looks really good. And then you have the plume of clouds. They're white with some nice light blue highlights throughout. Very nice sculpt, so you can see every little detail on the clouds shaded very well. So I like that concept, right? He's taking off and you can see the smoke that he's creating taking off. The ground's about to shake. And then you have these two little airstreams here, right, to show you that there's some speed involved there as well. For me, they do have some seams, right? These here have seams, and then the one in the back has a seam as well. A little bit of a miss, but I get it. You can't do it perfect. And then also the one in the back has a seam as well. But Superman keys in right here, and there's a little notch for the heel of the boot to go on as well. So that adds another level of stability, right? Because it's got no place to really go. So it keys in there. The key is about, I don't know, maybe this deep, but inside the key there's a metal rod, a little hole where the metal rod goes into. So the rod goes in there. It's pretty deep as well. So it's very, very stable. I don't think it's going anywhere. And then you have the Man of Steel himself taking flight. You see the cape billowing in the air. All the muscle definition is there. Nice steely look on his portrait, right? Both of them look great. And then the presence this has, because of it's such a big statue, with the way it's sculpted, it looks very much alive. So as far as concept, I think they did a great job representing Superman in mid-flight. Now we're going to go to paint and sculpt. Alright, so for paint and sculpt, like I mentioned earlier, I love the way the sub base is painted. It's a round sub base with blue and purple highlights, and it changes with the lighting, so that's really cool. I think they did a nice job with that. It adds some nice contrast to the piece. And then you have the cloud streams moving. You can see the way they sculpted it. It creates movement. They did a great job with that, and you can see it billowing from the power of his flight and the little air streams. So the way they sculpted this is great, because it does add you a convincing flying or takeoff maneuver, and it looks really good. And it's painted with these beautiful blue highlights throughout that really add to it. So it looks plainish initially, but it works very well with the piece because the contrast in colors really works. As for the Man of Steel himself, he sculpted amazingly. Initially, a lot of us thought that he was a little bit on the bulkier side, and he is definitely a bulky Superman, but he's not overly done so. He's sculpted to perfection. I mean, every muscle fiber is there, all your tendons are there, the way the body contours, the anatomy is absolutely beautiful. This is, make no mistake, a Superman. This guy is big, he's jacked, and he's ready for anything. You can see all the great muscle definition, the obliques, the rib cage, those abs, the chest, very nicely sculpted and painted. Yeah, so for paint and sculpt is outstanding pretty much throughout. But let's go back down to Soups himself. The boots are painted a little bit shinier red than the cape and his pants and all that stuff. But it looks great. You can see the stitching, all the folds. The treads underneath are brown, but it looks really good. Sculpted very nicely. Paint on this is good. I wouldn't say it's excellent. I do have a little bit of paint bleed, but overall I'm very happy with it. Again, more like great muscle definition. His suit is mostly smooth. There are some very slight texturing throughout, but it's mostly pretty smooth. But again, more like great muscle definition on this guy. This guy is amazingly sculpted and painted. And then you have his underwear with a couple of belt loops. I like the way they did that. The belts are plain yellow, but it looks good. The buckle is plain as well. Again, minor paint imperfections in mine. Nothing that I'm going to complain about. But it's sculpted and painted well. You can see all the nice folds and the way the fabric pulls. That looks great. Again, more like great muscle definition. On his right hand, right, he's got his fist. They did a great job with that. You can see the knuckles, right? The knuckles are split. You can see that. The nails look very believable. They look good. Sideshow does a good job with that. For me, this is a bit of a negative. You see where his shoulder meets the end of the bicep, or the beginning of the bicep. There's a seam there. So it's not seamless. It's pretty noticeable. So that's a little bit of a miss. Not terribly so. His emblem is raised. It looks really good. It's obviously contorted with the way he's moving. So that looks awesome. Very detailed, even under the armpit. Huge triceps on this guy. Elbow, tendons. I mean, you can see everything. Again, the hands are sculpted really nicely, in my opinion. If this thing get over focus, there you go. You can see the vein work. I mean, this thing, they didn't skip anything. It's very, very detailed. The K brothers did an amazing job with this thing. All right, the cape is probably the best part of this statue, and that's saying something because everything is done very well. But the way it's painted, just a bright red with the dark reds, right? The shadowing and shading look absolutely amazing. The sculpt gives it this great movement. It's really good. I mean, it's probably the best cape that I have. And the second best one would be another one the K brothers did on that Star Wars Mythos Vader. But look at all the folds and the movement in this cape. It's very, very lightweight. So there's no concerns that it'll lean. And it fit just perfect. So there's really nothing to complain about it as far as that goes. As far as the portraits, I think they look really good. The eyes are done very well. I know some up-close pictures, it looks like he's crying, especially the younger version. But you don't get that in person. The salt and pepper hair on this one look great. The hair flow looks really nice. The hairs are done very, very well. Especially the short hair. I mean, you can almost see every hair strand. So the highlights are there. It looks very, very good. And then, of course, his curl in the front. That looks awesome. You see all of the different wrinkles on the face. He's an older Superman, so he's got more wrinkles, right? And the expression, right? Steely-eyed, very serious. But everything's done well. The lips, you can see his chin. That looks good. The nostrils, the eyebrows, I mean, they didn't miss. Everything looks very, very good. So for paint and sculpt on this thing, I mean, I would say it's outstanding, except mine has a little bit of paint bleed. Not terribly so, but I think it looks good. I'm gonna give you a look at the switch out portrait. I'm not gonna put it on because it's easy. It's still a little bit of work. But here's the younger version, and I think it's done very well. And you can see the shine on the eyes. They look alive, which looks great. Same great detail, right? The skin tones are done absolutely perfect. You know, the ear detail, the vein work looks great. Expression. You can see he's got considerably less wrinkles on this because he's younger, and there is no salt and pepper. You have blue highlights on the hair, and he's got a little bit of a fuller head of hair, which makes sense because he's a little bit younger. So we'll go back to the older portrait again. Look at the details on the neck, the vein work. You can see the folds on the back of the neck here. That looks really good. Honestly, very little to complain about. Unless you just don't like an older Superman, then this may not be for you. So for paint and sculpt, I'm very happy with it. The sculpt, they did a freaking amazing job. The paint, they did an amazing job. Mine just wasn't painted perfect, but it's still very good. So I'll go to my closing comments. Alright, so in closing, a lot of the fears that I had were not only answered, but answered resoundingly. I thought it would be a challenge to change the portrait. It's really not that difficult. I thought it would be hard to fit everything because that cape is so tight. Not a problem at all. The portraits are great. It's very well balanced, so once it keys in, it's not going anywhere. You still got to be careful moving it. It's a very tall piece, so you need to balance it when you move it, but it's not overly heavy, and it's pretty friendly. It came in an enormous box with 2 layers. I think this box was bigger than the Hulk box. I was just saying something, and it looks like the new Batman Premium format is just as big, if not bigger. I get that on Monday, so we'll see what that is. But you get a nice package with just one big box, 2 different layers. The top layer has just the cape, and the bottom layer has the body, the 2 portraits, and the 2 airstreams that you have to attach after you put on the cape. Assembly was very easy. You got to play with it a little bit. Once it sits there, it sits perfect. So overall, I'm really happy. I know it's waitlisted. I don't know if they're going to do this in batches. I got like 598 of 1,000. I'm guessing they will do it in batches. So if you jump on Sideshow's waitlist, it probably will convert at some point. If you're on the fence about this, maybe you had some issues, whether it's leaning, you didn't think the portraits are great. I think they're very good. As far as I'm concerned, this is easily Sideshow's best Superman when you consider the full package, and they've done some nice ones. So for me, it's a great piece. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I hope it answers some of your questions. You know that I'm pretty active on the chat, so if you have any questions, leave comments and I'll answer them. Thank you for watching. Till next time, guys.